Hi everybody, this is Karen. I am here to talk to you about the tags I made for Julie's blog for Handmade for the holidays. So today we're going to talk about this tag. I'm going to try and show you all the pieces to how I put this little tag together. It's actually super simple. Okay, so the first thing I did was color the background of my tag. That's what I always do. I talked about this in the other video too, but I'll show you another example. It's relatively plain. Simple. I'm using slightly different colors than I think what's on the tag, but basically I use Distress inks. I'm using Shabby Shutters and Forest Moss for this one. So I use the blending tool, which is the greatest thing in the universe, and then what you do is you start on the outside and in circular motion you move inside. This way it blends the ink and it doesn't leave weird ink marks anywhere. It looks like it's almost the same color as the tag actually, so maybe I didn't do a really bad job of picking them. I go back and forth a lot. I think other people are stronger and they don't. But anyway, so here we go. Our tag is almost covered. You can make it darker by putting more ink, which appears like I did in here a little bit more. There's no rule here, it's just really what you like. Now what I like to do is I like to make my edges a little bit darker, so I pick a darker color and I make my edge with that. And again, I come from the outside and see how the edge is getting darker. And you can do this obviously any way you like, as well, as much or as little as you like. And see, I didn't go from the outside, so it's leaving those little marks. So you do have to make sure to start on the outside and to do the circular motion, or it leaves little ink marks. Alright, anyway, so that's similar basically to our other background now. And then for the top part where I put the little ornaments, here's what I did. I took these two big stamps from the Girls Papery line. It's Tinsel and Twig. It appears I took this one and this one. I stamped them on a piece of paper by Tim Holtz. It's the Shabby Chic, I think, or Shabby line. I can't remember the name, but I will look it up. I'll make sure you have it. And then see, I stamped them down here. You can see only the leftovers because these I already cut out. So I stamped it. Now once it was already stamped, I then glued these are Facets, also by Tim Holtz. They're great because they're faceted on top, so depending on which way you hold them, they shimmer. I used my two smaller circular kind of ones, so these are the only ones I have left. But what I basically did is I glued this right on top of the paper before I even cut it. Now as far as gluing this, the best thing to glue it with is Glossy Accents, also by Ranger. It's clear adhesive, it's very strong. All you need to do is you put it on the inside of the facet, you glue it all over, even though it looks like it's not clear, it will dry clear, and then you glue it on there. It won't smear your ink. It might smear depending what ink you used actually, so I don't want to say it won't smear. I basically used Stay-On, I think, on mine, so it didn't smear my ink. And then I glued it on there. So you hold it on there for a second or 2 seconds or a few seconds, and then it's there forever. And then what I basically did is I cut around it, so I had just my facet, and then there's a little hole in the top of the facet that's already there. I don't know if you can see it on the video, but it's already there. So what I basically did is I put a pin through there to make sure that it would actually stick the hole again. So see, here's a pin, and I basically did it enough times because now I had paper on the back of it. I did enough times so I could put through the hole. And then I took a simple I forgot now what these are called. But anyway, I took one of these little ropes, I think baker's twine, that's what it is. Baker's twine that I had. In this one I used blue, but I have red at hand right now. And I basically put it through the hole. A simplest way I found to put it through the hole is to then use my pin again and just kind of gently push it through. I will not lie, this took a while, but just because I'm not very talented at this. I'm sure there's better ways to do it, but I couldn't figure out how to do that. So once I had it through the hole, I basically came back to my tag and I glued it down on my tag. I also used this to glue it to my tag, but you don't have to. At this point the back is covered, so the see-throughness is not that important anymore, and whether it dries clear or not. So you can use any normal glue. So I glued it. I already had the baker's twine through it, so I just basically lined it all up so that it would work. I put a little bit of glue behind my baker's twine so that it would stick to the page, at least the bottom part would stick, and the top part that was coming back out didn't have to because I thought it would give it more dimension. So that's it. That's how I put these two things on there. I did two of them. And then on the bottom, this little blue ribbon I have on the bottom is something I had lying around. See, I have more of it. I believe it's by Creative Cafe. and I just had it for many, many, many years. So I put it on there just to add a little bit more color. And then for the top two parts, I used the Girls Papery. And if you look here in this tinsel and twig set, this little sheet has many, many pages. It's like the greatest thing in the world. But one of the things it has, and this one is not opened, so let me just cut the edges so that it is opened. It's one of the stickers is this one. It's just writing. It's cream background with red writing on it. And I used that to put it on top of my blue just to give it a little bit more color, and I cut it on the edges. And then the letters are also from the Girls Papery, but it's not this line. It's actually the Toil and Trouble line, which is for Halloween. But they're just like this. It's just that they're in black and white. So I put those black and white ones. I stitched through that because those letters don't always stick perfectly, the tiny letters, at least in my experience. And then I stitched around the whole tag just to give it another stitched feeling. And then once I was done, I decided my facets were a little too white. I wanted more fun for them. So I went back and I put a little bit of alcohol ink on them. Since these are non-porous surfaces, you can't really put ink on them. You want to put alcohol ink. That's sort of the point of alcohol ink. And you use this felt tip blending tool for that. So you basically just, I opened my alcohol ink. Oops, here it goes. This happens to be stone washed. I think I used, which is a blue color, I used a little bit of blue and a little bit of green. But you just put one tiny dot and then you just go over the facet. And that gives a tiny bit of a color to the facet, which means now when it's shining, there's a little bluish green shine to it, which is what I wanted so that it would match my tag. And that's the end of that. Pretty simple. And I think it's a simple little tag, but it's neat because it gives you a nice feel. And it also gives you a lot of room, so if you want to write a note in the front of the tag, you can do that. And honestly, like once I figured out what I was doing, this took me just maybe 10-15 minutes to do at most. So not so bad. Thank you for watching this. I hope it was helpful and gave you some ideas. If you have any questions, feel free to leave me a comment on Julie's blog or on the YouTube or on my blog, wherever, and I'll be happy to answer. Thank you so much.